All right, week 4 recap. Took me a little bit to get this one down. I had a busy weekend. After this video, we're going to do the week 5 picks. And we're going to do around the league video because a lot of crap has happened, believe it or not, including some other things with Kansas City that we're going to get to in that video. So, week 4 recap. It started off Thursday night with the Rams and the Vikings. The Rams took out the Vikings 38-31 to stay undefeated, which are one of 2 of the undefeated teams left in the league. We'll get to that in a minute. But they barely edged out the Vikings. This kind of proves my point that their defense is a little bit overrated. I mean, the Vikings got killed by Buffalo 27-6 by a rookie. Scary. Moving on. Sunday's games. Jacksonville beat the New York Jets 31-12. That's not surprising. Looks like they're playing hot again. So that'll be a hot game for Kansas City next week. They got to come to Arrowhead, so we'll see how that works out for them. The Patriots absolutely destroyed the Dolphins. Now, I called this. A lot of people picked the Dolphins, and the reason I picked the Patriots was because the Dolphins hadn't won in Foxborough since the frickin' Stone Age. I can't remember exactly what stat it is, but it's been a long time. And every game that they've got beat at Foxborough was by 19 points or more. So they got absolutely murdered. They got beat by 31. The Titans took out the Eagles in overtime, 26-23. That one was kind of surprising to me. I figured the Eagles would play better than what they are, and they're really not playing that good right now. Texans beat the Colts. Andrew Luck is Andrew Luck, man. Everybody got excited about him coming back, and he's going to go off this year. No. Andrew Suck is still Andrew Suck. He started out hot like Tim Tebow, and he's died off. I mean, he had that massive injury. He just simply died off. The Packers beat the Bills 22-0. Yeah, there ain't much more to say about that. The Cowboys edged out the Lions 26-24. That was kind of a surpriser. I wasn't really expecting Dallas to win that one, but they did. I actually picked the Lions, if I'm not mistaken. Buccaneers and Bears. This was another nice call by me, and I'm going to take credit for this one because I didn't think it would be this bad. But the Bears absolutely destroyed the Buccaneers. The final score was 48-10. Mitchell Trubisky threw 5 touchdowns in one half. Who the hell would have thought that was going to happen? I mean, really, who would have? Who would have thought that was going to happen? But it happened. Mitchell Trubisky went the hell off. And I don't know what triggered him, but he scored more points in that one game than he probably has all season. Moving on, the Bengals ended up beating the Falcons 37-36. I actually picked the Falcons in this game. I figured they'd edge out the Bengals. They're 2 powerhouse teams, don't get me wrong. But the Bengals came out on top, man. I know the Falcons scored late, and they went for 2 to try to tie it or something like that, and it didn't work out. Tyler Eifert, the star tight end for Cincinnati, broke his ankle in that game. It was gruesome looking. I feel sorry for him. Seahawks beat the Cardinals 20-17. I figured the Cardinals would lose by more than that, but I don't know. They've been playing a little bit better lately. Earl Thomas fractured his leg in this game. We'll get to that later on since Kansas City was looking at him. That'll be in the Around the League video. The Raiders beat the Browns in overtime. Man, just like any other game, there's a lot of controversy going on in that game. A lot of controversial calls. The Raiders fumbled late. I watched the highlights. I can't remember exactly when it was. But the Raiders fumbled either late in the game or early in overtime. I can't remember which one it was. But they were trying to come back and tie it, I think it was. And Derek Carr fumbled. And they gave him the whole, forward progress bullshit that they gave the Titans last year. It is what it is. The Raiders got their first win. and we're going to talk about them and the division and the Around the League video. So I'm not going to dig into that too deep. The Saints beat the Giants 33-18. Seen that coming. The Chargers barely got past the 49ers. Beathard, I always thought his name was Beathard. That's how some of them pronounced it last year. Beathard is technically how you pronounce his name. He played pretty decent, man. He kept them in the game. The defense couldn't hold on. 29-27, Chargers win. The Ravens edged out the Steelers. I'm not really surprised by this. Baltimore's got a good, solid, consistent team. The Steelers are a high-powered offense, and Baltimore has been, I mean, they beat Denver 27-14, and now they won 26-14. They're putting these high-powered offenses down, man. Baltimore's looking solid this year. It looks like that's going to be their division. And that's kind of a crapper if you're a Kansas City fan, because we've had a rough time against Baltimore, especially in the playoffs. We've had a rough time against anybody in the playoffs, but specifically the Ravens whenever we play the Ravens. But we got the Ravens later on this season, and their defense is coming around, man. Their defense is starting to look real tough, and they got some weapons on offense. That was a Sunday night game, and of course, Monday night game rounded out to Kansas City and Denver when Mahomes pulled that come-from-behind victory to beat the Broncos 27-23. So, you know, there wasn't really that many surprisers this week. I think Dallas stepped their game up. You know, maybe they finally figured themselves out. The Raiders finally played for 4 quarters. You know, they came back and tied it in the last seconds of the game. So they finally put their 4 quarters together. They finally figured out a method that works. I mean, even though it was Cleveland that they beat, Cleveland does have a decent defense, and they put 45 up on that defense. And, you know, that was something that Oakland was struggling with the whole season so far, is the fact that they couldn't score points consistently, and they couldn't win games, and their defense couldn't play consistently. If one of them was playing, the other one was, and vice versa. If the other one wasn't playing, or if one wasn't playing, the other one wasn't playing. I figured the Bears would beat the Bucs because eventually, people call him Fitzmagic. I call him Shits-Patrick. There's a reason for that. He plays really hot 3 or 4 games and sets records and just falls on his face. And they're even talking about Jameis Winston starting next week. That's how pissed they are. I remember their head coach said that everybody on the field should be fired, including himself. I figured they would beat the Buccaneers. I picked them to beat the Buccaneers, but I didn't think they would blow them out like that. You know, I didn't think Mitchell Trubisky could put up that many points. But he did. Bengals coming out on top of the Falcons. That game could have went either way, man. It was 2 really good teams, 2 powerhouse teams. You know, but Cincinnati does have a win over Baltimore. That's going to be a good division to watch out for. Seahawks and Cardinals. You know, I'm not sure if the Cardinals are just starting to play a little bit better under Sam Bradford, or if Seattle just sucks. I mean, you can't tell. That's another one of those games where you really can't tell. The Chargers, they're just being the Chargers. I think they're barely doing enough to get by some of these average or below average teams. The Colts don't surprise me anymore. I just don't see them winning a lot of football games. I figured Philadelphia would play better than they did. I figured the Dolphins would give up more of a fight than that. I mean, they just got pummeled by the Patriots. I kind of seen it coming from the Patriots, though. They were on a 2-game losing streak. They were 1-2. I figured they would be just absolutely pissed coming into this game about how they played the past 2 weeks, and they did. They did, and they destroyed the Dolphins. It was bad. The Saints are rolling as usual. I actually picked the Browns to beat the Raiders, and there's a reason for that. Rookies were 0-10 in their first career start, and I figured Baker Mayfield would be the first one to break it. But in all fairness, you know, and to throw a little bit of dirt on Oakland, because I am a Kansas City fan, you know, Baker had 4 turnovers in this game, and he still only lost by 3. And now, here's the thing. Does this mean that Oakland's still playing below average, or does this mean that Baker Mayfield's a hell of a lot better than what everybody thinks he is? I mean, another thing that could go either way. Man, I figured the Steelers would put up a little bit more points than that. I mean, 14, but apparently Baltimore's got a hell of a defense going on down there. If I'm not mistaken, Baltimore's only got one loss this year, and that was to Cincinnati, if I'm not wrong. But, you know, that's about it for this video. We're going to turn right around here, and we're going to do the Week 4 picks.